dream of a city beyond all compare. Is it Paris?
Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm back today with another virtual field trip. So this one was a request, this location, from one of my former students, so thanks for the request. Today we're going to travel to France. So I've been to France twice, as I'll explain when I show you some of my pictures and the map, and I can't wait to show you all about it. Enjoy. All right, so here is a map of France. Okay, you can see this is a political map. It shows some of the main highways and the main cities in France. So the capital of France is Paris, and that is one of the places that I went. I traveled there in 2007. And then we also visited Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, which is right near Paris. So you can see it there, part of it. The name is sort of blocked off by the star. Then in 2019, I also went to Annecy, which is a small town in southeast France that I visited when I was traveling around Switzerland. So now let's zoom out. This is a map of Europe. Okay, see if you can find France. You can pause if you want. All right, and there is France. So you can see geographically, it's definitely one of the largest countries in Europe. Okay, let's zoom out further. Here's the world. Go ahead and pause and see if you can figure out where France is. It might help if you figure out where Europe is first. All right, and there is France. Okay, so you can see, it's pretty large as far as the some of the countries in Europe go, but when you compare it to most of the countries in North America, many of the large Asian countries, African countries, it's not quite as large. All right, this is the French flag. So it's also called the French tricolor. And the colors blue, white, and red do stand for the French motto. So blue stands for liberty, white stands for equality, and red stands for fraternity. And blue and red are also the colors of Paris. And this flag was adopted around the time of the French Revolution, which started in 1789. Here are some fast facts about France. About 67 million people live in France. So it's the fourth greatest population in Europe. Speaking of millions of people, France is the most popular tourist destination in the world. That means that more people visit Paris when they're traveling than any other country. It gets about 82 million visitors each year, which is more than its population. France was ruled by kings and queens until the French Revolution, which began in 1789, and now it's a democracy. The oldest coffee shop in the world is found in Paris. It opened in 1686, so it's over 300 years old, which is pretty cool. France is one of only 5 nations to be a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. So that council helps maintain international peace and security. And there are 5 nations that are always members and then 10 nations that rotate in and out. And France is one of the 5 permanent members. So is the United States. And France has long been a global center for art, science, and philosophy. So the Louvre Museum, which I went to, holds the Mona Lisa. It's the most visited art museum in the world. A lot of famous artists, philosophers, scientists have come out of France. It was definitely a world power and has been for quite some time. So my trip in 2007, we went to Paris. I was studying abroad in Ireland, and one of my friends was studying abroad in Paris, so we went to go visit her. So this picture is of the Notre Dame Cathedral. So this was started being built in 1160 and finished being built in 1260. So it was finished almost 800 years ago. It was damaged in the French Revolution, and then it actually caught on fire in 2019, but it is currently being worked on again to be able to open up soon. You might recognize it because of the movie The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So this is one of the main landmarks in Paris. Like I said, Paris is the capital of France. It's known as the City of Lights or the City of Love. Fun fact, it is known as the City of Lights because it was one of the first major cities to install streetlights. And about 2 million people live in Paris. So this is the Arc de Triomphe. It's at the end of this big famous street, the Champs-Élysées, and this honors those who fought for France during the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars. So this is just an iconic landmark. On the inside of the arc, which I don't have a picture of, a lot of names are inscribed on there of people who fought in the wars. And then you can go to the top. You can see some people up there. So we did. So this is one of the views from the top. You can see way in the distance, that big building is the Sacré-Cœur Church, which I did visit and I have pictures of. We could also see the Eiffel Tower in the distance, which you'll see close up as well. That's me. This was also the trip where my friends and I all discovered the black and white and sepia settings on our cameras. So when you see some of the pictures in black and white or in this like brownish tone, that's not real. That's just the camera. We were very excited about the camera settings back in 2007. And again, there's the Eiffel Tower taken from the top of the Arc de Triomphe, but it's in the sepia tone. It didn't really look like that. It was in full color. So here's the Sacré-Cœur Church. So it's a basilica. It means the Sacred Heart. It's a Catholic church. It's only 100 years old, and it's the second most visited monument in all of Paris. So that's a view from the top. You can see the grounds and the neighborhood that it's in. And then that's one of the steps, the side streets that we took to walk up to the church. It's definitely on a hill, so we climbed these steps a lot. This Ferris wheel's in Paris, called the Big Wheel. I recognize it from The Devil Wears Prada, which is a movie, and other TV shows. We didn't actually ride it. We just saw it from the outside, but that was pretty cool to see. It's right downtown. France has a lot of great food. So this is a few of my friends who were with me on our travels. We stopped every morning at bakeries. They're called boulangeries, and you can get pastries and crepes, which are sort of like really thin, sweet pancakes, normally with some sort of filling in the middle. And bread, and that's what almost everyone gets to eat for breakfast in the morning. So there's me and my friend with some baguettes and some bread. We just got that for our breakfast, and you can see the Eiffel Tower poking out way in the background. Here's a street of Paris. A lot of the streets look like this, pretty narrow, and you can see a lot of the buildings are pretty old. It was a really beautiful city to walk around in. Did not feel modern at all. Felt very old time and gorgeous. So here is the Eiffel Tower. So the Eiffel Tower was built for the World's Fair in 1889. It was built to commemorate the 100-year anniversary of the French Revolution. And it was only supposed to stay standing for 20 years, but it became so popular that it's still standing today. So the chief engineer was Gustave Eiffel, hence the name Eiffel Tower. That was his last name. And at the time it was built, it was the tallest man-made structure in the whole world. And we visited it every night. I think I was in Paris for like 4 nights, and we visited it every night. The Champ de Mars is like the lawn outside the Eiffel Tower, and we brought picnics there, brought our cameras there, and just would, sit and stare at how beautiful it was. And you can see it sparkling right now. It actually sparkles every night, every hour on the hour for 5 minutes. So that was really cool to see. Every hour it would sparkle for a little bit, and it was really pretty. So there's me and some of my friends outside when it's not sparkling but lit up. A view from the bottom. Me and one of my friends that we met on our trip, and I really like this picture because you can see just how huge it is. I mean, we're standing like pretty far in front of it, and you can just really see the cool architecture underneath the tower. And there's us again. While it was sparkling, we did climb up to the top. We did not climb. We did take elevators up to the top at night, which was really pretty, but also really cold and windy. And all my pictures from there are just black, so I'm not going to show you any. And I did not take this picture. I got this for free on the internet. Thank you, Flickr. But this is what it looks like during the day. We actually never visited it during the day. We only visited it at night, which is one of the regrets I had. But it's really pretty during the day as well. This is the Hotel de Ville. This is Paris's City Hall, just another really pretty building that we passed by. And this is the Louvre in the background. So like I mentioned earlier in my fast facts, the Louvre is the most popular, the most visited art museum in the world. And on the outside of the museum is that pyramid looking thing in the background. And it was really cool to go around there, and we saw the Mona Lisa and lots of other famous things. So on one of the last days that we were visiting France, we went to Versailles, in the Palace of Versailles, which is outside of France. This is what it looks like from the front on the outside. Again, this is just the effects of my camera. It's really not that brown. And Versailles was a royal residence. It's where the kings and queens of France lived from 1682 until the start of the French Revolution in 1789. And King Louis XIV, who was the Sun King, he really was instrumental in making this like his palace to live in. It's also used for some other functions, now mostly for visitors. The treaty to end World War I was signed here, the Treaty of Versailles. So that was really cool to see. This is the Hall of Mirrors. It's one of the most famous parts on here, just tons of chandeliers, mirrors, and windows on the side. Really pretty. This is a view out back, one of the statues, and just, the grounds. Think about it. A king and queen used to live here, and this was just their personal garden. It's me and a few of my friends poking out from behind the trees. They were really pretty. Again, everything was landscaped really well. And then here's another shot from one of the porches of what the backyard basically looked like of this palace. So that was a fun day trip that we took. And that was my trip to Paris and Versailles. Now, in 2019, last summer, as I said, I went to visit Annecy. So my sister and I were in Switzerland, and Switzerland is surrounded by France on one side and by other countries around. So we were able to actually just take a bus to Annecy. It was about an hour-long bus ride. We had our passports in our purses just in case we needed them, but we didn't because we had already entered the European Union, the EU, through Switzerland, so we did not need to show our passports again to get into France. So Annecy is a pretty small town. It's called the Venice of the Alps. This is Lake Annecy, so a lot of people, this was in August that we went there, so a lot of people were out boating and enjoying the lake. And we've mostly visited Old Town Annecy, and this is what it looks like. So the water is really that color. It's a really pretty green color. And it's called the Venice of the Alps because Venice is a town in Italy that has just water and canals and bridges running through it. And so this is what the old town of Annecy also looked like. So the sidewalks were pretty narrow, and there are some bridges to cross over all of the canals. So here are some shots from just on the bridges. The town is several hundred years old, so that was pretty cool, some old buildings. When in France, we got French fries. So this meal is called steak frites. Really traditional French meal, French fries and steak. And then you can see the Coca-Cola bottle. They mostly sell soda in glass bottles in Europe. So that was pretty cool. These are more shots of just the downtown. There's like that like artsy sculpture there. And then this castle looking building, which we tried to go inside, but we couldn't. This was the ice cream place, Glacier des Alpes. So ice cream is called glace in French. And there are tons of ice cream places in Annecy, but this one was rated 9th in best in all of France, according to TripAdvisor. So we waited in a really long line to get the ice cream, and it was worth it. That's my cookies and cream. They gave it to us in a cone, but also a little tiny spoon. And that's me and my sister, who was on the trip with me, both enjoying our ice creams. And that was the end of our trip to Annecy. As we said, it was just a quick day trip, just a bus in and out, but it was really cool to go to France again and see a different part of France than Paris. It was definitely very different vibe, very different feel, especially being on the lake. It was a lot of fun. Well, that's France. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. It was really fun for me to relive my memories, and it was pretty cool to go to the same country twice, but two totally separate areas. So I got to learn more about the country that way. And I guess I didn't mention this, but I also took French in high school and in college. So it was nice to be able to test on my language skills and practice reading all of the signs and things like that. So this was fun to do another virtual field trip. If you have any requests for my next one, we could do Iceland, Switzerland, Spain, England and Scotland, and some places around the US, Charleston, Alaska, and much more. So let me know if you have any requests. For now, I miss you. I can't wait to see you. I wish you well.